Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Craig Burley and Ali Moreno. Take that, Jurgen Klopp. Not all early games are rubbish. What a match we saw in Istanbul. Galatasaray taking on Manchester United, which was, of course, the early kick-off today in the Champions League. United really needed a result, all 3 points. So in the end, it finishes Galatasaray 3, Manchester United 3, meaning United still have it very much all to do. It's out of their hands, basically, if they're going to make it through to the knockout stages. This is why we saw Bayern and Copenhagen play out a draw earlier today. So what that means for United is that they've got to beat Bayern Munich and hope that Copenhagen Galatasaray draw. That's the only way in which Ten Hag's side will make it through to the knockout stages. So to welcome in Don Hutchison to the show. Before we discuss the possibility of them going through, or
they're at home to Bayern anyway, so it's one thing.
Well, yes, because they're not in Germany. I don't know why you said that. So then,
I don't know why I said that.
What a game!
You know, I don't think you could ask. Right, let's just set the goalkeeper apart for now.
Right, yes.
I don't think you could ask much more of the others. It's one of the things I've been looking at with Man United is beating Everton, beating Burnley, beating Brentford, and you're thinking, yeah, but it just wasn't very interesting, wasn't fun, it wasn't entertaining. That was what, and okay, they knew before the game the chances are they probably had to win, so they had to go for it. But it was kind of Man United-esque of yesteryear. It was blood and guts and some quality and some youngsters and good goals and getting on the front foot and living on the edge a little bit. And it was really, really good. But it's all undone by someone who is getting added to the list of a liability for Ten Hag. And he fudged it off at the end as best he could with all the, this is a team game, we defend as a team and we attack as a team. But when a goalkeeper makes mistakes regular, and this guy is, and if you remember, Allianz Arena away against Munich, he was throwing them in that night as well. This is the biggest of the big in the Champions League, and he's making mistakes. That's a problem. That's a problem going forward, and he has to take full responsibility tonight for why they did not win this game.
And they're really obvious mistakes, aren't they?
Absolutely. At 2-0, Manchester United are in full control of the game and looking as good as we have seen Manchester United look this season. At 3-1, they're in full control of the game, once again, with, up to that point, a mature performance, very professional performance, effective and efficient in front of goal, taking advantage of transition moments, having moments of quality from different players out on the field, finding those moments of quality and finishing their opportunities. So if you are a Manchester United fan, you're looking at the performance of the team and you're saying, man, we look good. Man, we're going to do it. 3-1, full control. Galatasaray, they're obviously throwing numbers forward, but it's kind of half chances. It isn't under control. In fact, to me, it looked more likely for Manchester United to be able to defend a play or a sequence correctly, find an outlet pass, and they go on the counter and they put this game away. That's how much in control I thought Manchester United was. And then the mistakes happen. And I suppose the first one you kind of go, all right, he's guessing. I'm not going to excuse this because he shouldn't be doing this. But the next one, while you can excuse that maybe there's traffic in front of him and he's having to hold his ground because maybe there's going to be a deflection, he has to react to that, and Martial could have done better at the near post, is the attempt and the technique that he utilizes in order to keep the ball out of the goal. He looked like he was in a beach volleyball competition. He just kind of trying to dig at it and say, wait, get your body behind it, get your hands behind it. It's almost as if he's surprised, if he's thinking about what's happening next, because he knows that the mistakes have been coming all too often for him. And I have to say, at that moment, when you're under control, you're Manchester United, you feel good about yourself, then all the doubt starts coming back once you let that second goal in, and Galatasaray took full advantage of it.
He doesn't make the second mistake if he doesn't make the mental error for the first one.
Really?
Because his confidence is gone.
Right.
And he can be this big, cocky, arrogant goalkeeper all he wants, but his confidence is down. And he tried to outthink the Ziyech free kick. They were teammates at Ajax. He's seen the movie before, both on the field and in training. He's thinking he's gone over the wall, he's doing this, I need to read it. If Hakim Ziyech goes over the wall in the corner, nobody bats an eyelid if Onana doesn't get there. Nobody. And he moves on, and he probably doesn't make the second mistake because now he's thinking about everything, he's second guessing, he's lost his confidence. And he's overthought it. And if he doesn't get back to basics, then they've got a big problem. A big problem. But there was so many positives. Can I dare even say it? I'm going to say this. Anthony was a positive tonight.
Wow,
Oh,
Craig.
hello.
I mean, that's a collector's item, really, isn't it? He played well.
Well, this whole segment has been a collector's item. You've been so nice.
Well, I was about 5 miles from the campus here, and I was like, are they winning or losing? I mean, I might not be coming in today.
Exactly.
But I thought it was really, really positive, apart from one guy.
Well, that's one more thing about Onana and that cockiness that you just mentioned. There's a sequence in the first half in which he comes out, I don't know, 40 or 50 yards away from his goal, and he kind of does a little roll back or whatever, and finds a sort of a switch over to Anthony on the right-hand side. And it all looks beautiful, and when he does it like that, you kind of go, man, yeah, I can see where his value for this team is being that extra guy that can give you that sort of possession and can switch the point of attack. But I don't care if he does any of these things perfectly if you don't do the number one job. Yeah. See, the number one job is keeping the ball out of the back of your own net, not putting it into the back of your own net. And this is what he's doing. So for all the good things that he can do with his feet, he's a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So the priority number one should be not getting scored on, and not in the manner in which he got scored on today.
You compare and contrast, and it's like two different people. When you take a look at his season last year in the Champions League, he was so instrumental, of course, in the run that we saw him go on. Meanwhile, this season, detrimental to his team on more than one occasion. Don, you've seen him play a lot, of course. You follow Italian football closely. Are you surprised by how bad he has been?
Yeah. And to the lads' point on Onana, I think what he's trying to do, and I've seen it in the City game, even though he played quite well in the City game, I think I'm looking at a goalkeeper now that's trying to make Hollywood saves, and he's trying to make the easy saves look really difficult to convince the world that he's a great goalkeeper. So that's what I see. The most basic routine save, like the second free kick, for him, for any goalkeeper, should be child's play. It should save that with his eyes closed. It's either a take into the chest or push it out wide. But the fact that he's trying to punch it and do something spectacular, it's almost like he knows he's having one and he knows he's not hit the ground running. I think his confidence, just what Craig was saying there, I think his confidence is okay because he's quite cocky and he is quite confident. He has been sort of all his career. But I'm just looking at a goalkeeper, Dan, where I think he's trying to convince the world that he's playing well by making these sort of unconventional saves, and it's just not working for him. He looks a completely different player.
But you know what? There's more positives than negatives. I mean,
all right, OK, Manchester United TV. We'll get to that.
What do you mean?
Well, you keep... Like, we're having a go at Onana. This is the discussion. You keep going, this is great. Anthony was great.
All right, I've battered them. Ali's battered them. Don's battered them. Are we going round for a second round?
Well, my follow-up question to Don was, do you agree with Craig that there's a lot of positives to be taken away, but you wanted to double down on the positives?
Because normally your questions are guff. So I just sort of preempt it by getting there.
Yes,
instead of waffling around fudging.
Don, do you agree with Craig that there's a lot of positives to take from this United performance despite Onana?
Yes, absolutely. If you want me to be a little bit negative, the fact that they were winning 2-0 and 3-1, no, because I think, listen, it's hard to be really negative on the game that you've just watched and the attitude of the players and the effort that they put in to try and win the game away from home against a very, very good side in Galatasaray. You want to be positive for them because they are sort of making small changes. But then when you look at it tactically and you wonder where the leaders are and you wonder why Victor Lindelof and you wonder why Harry Maguire is not saying to Amrabat or Bruno Fernandes or Scott McTominay while it was 2-0 or 2-1, stay in your slots, stop running everywhere, stop emptying the midfield. And at 3-1, lads, just stay in position. We're away from home in a Champions League game that we're winning 3-1. We don't need to bomb forward and score 4. That's tactically the naivety at Man United. But at the same time, you can't really knock them for the way they were trying to approach the game. Better that way, I think, than trying to sit in defensively and playing counter-attacking football and be a little bit boring and a little bit deep. At least they went for Galatasaray, so that's a huge positive.
The only negative tonight in this show is the fact that Don's got a new setup at home and he's balls that up again completely. And he's had to go back to the old one. He spent all this money moaning 5 minutes before we came on air. It doesn't work. Throw it out. back to the old one.
His new lighting's not the most flattering either,
Well,
is it?
I could do it a bit darker. For me, it needs to be darker.
It's like one of those old age filters you put on.
I just don't really, I don't really see that.
Okay, so what it all means? Well, it means that, as I mentioned, destiny is very much out of Manchester United's hands
Well,
now.
you got there and you tried to...
No, I'm explaining it now nicely, all right?
Well,
United beat Bayern Munich, and Copenhagen draw against Galatasaray. That is their only passage through. Is it a passage that they're going to take?
Hold on.
Stay positive, stay positive.
That was a lovely question.
A little crystal ball in here from my Copenhagen Galatasaray
Don't be
game.
like that. Just say what do you think's going to happen.
Stay positive,
no.
Oh.
Listen, you go and sort your new equipment out. Look, Bayern Munich.
Don't have a go at Mr. United now, Don.
Oh, I know.
I'm trying to curry favours with United fans. I'm not. Unlikely. I mean, you're looking at the two teams having to draw in Copenhagen.
Give me a percent.
A Hutch percentage, I'm going to say beating Bayern and the other game having to be a draw, 10% chance.
10%? Higher or lower?
Same. And,
Yeah.
and that's being friendly. That's two big questions here.
Right.
Manchester United replicating.
Bayern have got nothing to play for.
Yeah, okay. Right. But Manchester United replicating or recreating some of the good things that we've been talking about in this show about the performance today against Galatasaray. What we have seen from this team this season is that it's difficult for them to put together performance.
So they get better.
Are you making the argument for him for positive Manchester United or what?
I'm just saying
No.
that they've got to play Bayern. If it's not the end of the world, is it? Old Trafford, Bayern with nothing to play for.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
So you're saying they're beating Bayern Munich?
I think my money, had my money would be on a United.
Okay. And now you're
Talk about trying to curry favours with United.
No, I don't think
now.
that's a hard argument to make. That's.
I don't think so. I think there is a major difference between these two clubs, and if Bayern Munich, it depends
Bayern
on
can
how
even beat Copenhagen.
It depends on how Bayern Munich approaches this match.
Right.
And so it's not about Manchester
No, but
United.
if they approach it like they did in the cup, they're out. Oh, they're not out of this cup.
Okay, fine. Now we're talking about Saarbrücken.
Right,
This is what we're
Saarbrücken, that's it. I couldn't remember that name. Right, second.
Good research. Good research.
What's the second reason?
The second reason is that Galatasaray and Copenhagen, somehow they have to accommodate Manchester United, and I don't think that's happening.
But, Don, remember when they met earlier on in the group? What was the score? 2-2.
They ain't going through, Dan, because the other game won't be a draw. And you're looking at a Bayern
But it was 2-2, Don.
Listen, you're looking at a Bayern side tonight. Don't judge Bayern on what Thomas Tuchel picked tonight. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, when they go into the game against Man United, they then go into a winter break. So it's not like they've got games to play after the Man United
team's
game.
on holiday then. They don't care.
No, they go
their
strong.
flip-flops on.
No, absolutely not. The other way. Thomas Tuchel want to come back to England, former Chelsea manager, and I think Man United were tracking him, once upon a time. He will going to go there with a fully fit and a fully strong side and turn over Man United to knock them out the Champions League. There's no way Bayern are going B team in this game.
What's the percentage chance, talking about a winter break, of Manuel Neuer going skiing?
Well, I'm being told that Don is wrong.
Winter break.
They have 2 more games after the Champions League ties.
Good research, Don. Good research.
No, it's the last Champions League game is what I'm saying. He's going to go strong.
Yeah, we know that.
Thanks for that,
He's
Don.
going to go strong.
It's the last Champions League for everybody.
Don, we're live, Don, but we can try and do it again. We could maybe somehow sort of
They
get
going
it
through.
Well, I agree. And do you know what? This team sits in another category with one or two others, saying if we don't go through with the season we're having, with the players we've got injured, with the problems at the club, it's probably better to swerve the Europa League as well.
Yes.
And then just concentrate. And Jim Ratcliffe's coming in. What's going to happen in January? Let's look forward and don't have all these other games that are going to cloud the issue for them. But we'll see. They're going to have a tough time getting in the top 4 through the league, so that Champions League, the Europa League is an avenue for that, but it's not a given. It's certainly difficult to do. But the chances of them doing it now are and on the other side of that is, for some of these teams, it's just about getting through to the knockout stage and going, we're here. Because teams like Man United haven't got a snowball's chance of going anywhere near like the semi-finals or anything like that.
Well, Bayern Munich, however, will be hoping that they can go to the semi-finals and beyond. But before that, of course, they've got to focus on what's going on in the Bundesliga. Ali will be covering Bayern against Union Berlin. Are you doing Leipzig as well?
No, it was Bayern Munich, Union Berlin.
What about Leipzig?
Well, they're playing against Heidenheim. It'll be a great game.
Just a reminder, those games live at 9:30. Then Sunday, what a game it should be on Sunday. Bayer Leverkusen taking on Borussia Dortmund. That's at 11:30.